Hello, thank you for joining me today. Today we are in my daughter's bedroom. If you're new here, my name is Kaya. I make intentional living content. Today is a fun video. We are going to just talk about my favorite kids' picture books. Right now, my daughter is in the preschool stage, so we are just starting on the very beginning of our homeschool journey. But since starting homeschooling, I have loved to just find a bunch of really great variety of books to read her. I have searched so many different book lists along with my best friend, Anne, if you're watching, has given me so many good book recommendations. And so today I am just going to rapid fire through a list of some of our favorite books in this house that we are enjoying. So they're all picture books. I tried grouping them into categories, but honestly, they're not super separated. All right, so let's jump into my list. I'm not going to rank these, but I will say this one is one of our top favorites in our house, and that is The Complete Brambly Hedge. So it goes through summer, autumn, winter, and spring. The illustrations are just super cute, so I don't know if you can see that, but the next book is a good favorite as well, and that's the James Herriot Treasury. So they are all based on true stories, or are the exact true stories? I can't remember. But again, very beautiful illustrations and lovely stories. The next one is, of course, Beatrix Potter. Again, another treasury. That was kind of the first ones I picked, was the Treasury Books. And of course, Peter Rabbit. Benjamin Bunny. This one, I think, has more of the original illustrations. This treasury does. So, again, little forest animals, cottagey, so cute. And just, I love the rich language, too, in these books. So, we enjoy this one. The next one is The Song of the Birds. My daughter, this has been a cool one. It actually has the bird noises in it. So it'll tell you little facts about the different birds and make the noises they make. So this has actually helped my preschool daughter help in just identifying bird calls. Like she'll hear a bird or see one and know what it is. So that's kind of a fun way to learn. Next we'll go into like bedtime type books. So in our house, all the Llama books are fun, well loved. My daughter has liked Llama since she was like 1. Time for Bed by Mem Fox. Just a sweet story. Goes through all the animals putting their little cubs to bed, and then it, ends with putting our little ones to bed. So, Goodnight Gorilla. This was one of my daughter's favorites. This one was read probably 100 times over. Just one of those books I remember from my childhood, and she liked it too. Of course, Goodnight Moon. This is a classic. I'm sure if you've ever read a kid's book, you've heard of Goodnight Moon. Now, we kind of practice like Montessori. So one thing that Montessori values is lots of pictures with like real faces, real pictures, photography. And we don't do that for like all of our books, but I still value having that. So this is kind of a fun one, just a thrifted one, but hats. Books like this. So you just see different cultures and different real people from their cultures wearing different hats. I think it's really beautiful. The next book, Stranger in the Woods. Again, this was just a photography book I picked up. Most of these I Thrift Book, which is a website that sells discounted, like, used books. Or our local library, thrift stores. That is how I try to buy, like, 99% of our books. But, again, just this cute little story about this deer running across a snowman in the woods. Of course, anybody has probably heard of this one, and that is The Very Hungry Caterpillar. The Very Busy Spiders Like It by the same guy. So, yeah, recommend those too. This one, I Am a Bunny. Love the illustrations in this one. Just goes through this little bunny named Nicholas who lives in a hollow tree and just has these very beautiful illustrations of him playing and just the different seasons and wildlife. So great for that younger, like baby toddler age, but honestly could still be enjoyed for so many years. The next category, I kind of did like winter books. Owl Moon, It's a good one. I'm not going to talk about every one of them in detail, but yeah, just great winter story. This one I wouldn't say is like some kind of work of art, but my daughter just loves this one. We read it all year round, but it's kind of about Christmas time and baby Jesus. The animals are all preparing the barn. They say, "Who is coming to our house?" "Someone, someone," says Mouse. And all of the animals go through figuring out who's coming to their house that evening. And, you know, the mitten tree, this is a sweet story about a lady whose kids are all grown up, but she knits mittens for the kids on the school bus that comes by and hangs them on the tree. And yeah, the big snow, this is really great, like wildlife, just cozy pictures. Yeah, love that one. The Snowy Day, also a classic. These I would say are like more faith inspired. So we found these at a thrift store, and I feel like they've been the best, like biblically accurate, like retellings of, you know, because kids' Bibles are always kind of simplified, which is nice, but I feel like these do justice to these Bible stories. And so yeah, just my Bible stories. The pictures aren't even necessarily spectacular, but the story is just so like on point. So anyways, I would highly recommend anything by Max Lucado kids books. Again, another one of those that are kind of like highly underrated, but very good. If you're looking for like faith, Christian kids books, this is a lovely story about the king who comes, and the orphan girl feels like she needs, like all the townspeople tell the orphan girl who's being adopted by the king that she needs to impress the king. And long story short, some of her siblings do that. They try to impress the king. It turns out the king just wants you for just how you are, whether you have special gifts or not. So, but he writes so many other good ones. I just highly recommend any kids book by Max Lucado. Next one on my recommend list, which is also like not a popular one at all, but we got it from the library, and so maybe it's just really special to my heart because of reading it to my 1-year-old daughter, and that's Aberdeen. She was 1 at the time, now she's 4, but she would just say Aberdeen. So it is a very beautiful like watercolor kind of style art. And it's just a story about a little mouse figuring out how to get home after getting distracted by a balloon. So another classic, and that is Your Mama a Llama. We have fun with all of these kind of books. There's like Barnyard Dance. She writes a whole bunch of them, but yeah. Pajama Time, Belly Button Book. I don't know, she has a whole collection of them, and they're just silly little cuddly board books that you can read more with your younger ones. So we're reading these to our like 1-year-old right now. Curious George, obviously classic. We have a couple of the Treasuries, and then one of the like more older illustrated ones that I found at a thrift store. So probably one of the top favorites of my daughter is Robert McCloskey, specifically One Morning in Maine. She will ask us to read this to her probably every single night, if we let her. But we say we have a lot of books, so let's pick something else this time. But, oh, man, Robert McCloskey is an amazing illustrator. He was an amazing illustrator. But, yeah, just beautiful pictures. Rich stories, too. They keep you intrigued and really great. So he has One Morning in Maine. We don't have all of them, but I would say pretty much all of them are great. We've checked some out from the library but Blueberries for Sal, Make Way for Ducklings, also a great one. Yeah, again, just super lovely pictures. So that's kind of what I look for when I'm trying to find good books, is great illustration, like actual art, and a great storyline that goes with it, obviously. So Time of Wonder is another one that we got by McCloskey. This one's kind of illustrated a little different actually than the other two. So next up, this one I found on a book list, and it's called This Is How We Do It. Really cool book, actually. Go through like 6 different kids all around the world and talk about all the different ways that they do the things that all of us do every day. So like, this is what I eat for breakfast, and it'll go through each country, what their teachers would look like in each country, how we learn. It's based on really these families that they followed around and found out how they lived. So beautiful book for exposing your kids to different cultures around the world. Next ones are by Sam McBratney. Guess How Much I Love You. Very cute story of the 2 little nut brown hares. Again, very just adorably illustrated. Really sweet story. This one, similar like it. Also by him. You're All My Favorites. This is great when you have more than one. Maybe you have a little brother or sister on the way. And I just love how we got this one actually when we had our second. And I just love how it reassures your oldest or maybe older one that, yeah, they're special and there's no favorites. So Madeline, another classic. All right, next is Any Book by Jan Brett. I love all of her stories and illustrations. Every book takes place in a different country or area of the world. So this one is China. Daisy comes home, and there's always Easter eggs I've noticed amongst the different books. So highly recommend Jan Brett. Next recommend is Any Book by Patricia Polacco. I think there's only like maybe a couple of her books that I've came across that I don't absolutely love. But her stories are all based on true stories that have either been told to her, that she's lived, she has experienced in some kind of way. She is a wonderful storyteller, and all of the books really focus on real life things that happen. She has one about friends experiencing cancer, and one's about like racism and times like during the Holocaust. So it's a very great way for children to be like exposed to these stories in a childlike way that connects to their heart. And she's a pretty good illustrator too. Anyways, you'll just have to read a lot of her stuff to find out, but really recommend Patricia Polacco. The next one I recommend is Don Freeman. Again, one of those authors and illustrators that I would recommend pretty much any of his books. Most of you know Corduroy. My friend recommended a lot of his other stuff. So Norman the Doorman, this is a great one. And Earl the Squirrel as well. Again, just fun animal tales. And he has really lovely like pencil/crayon style illustrations. So we really enjoy these stories. The next ones are going to just be super random, but that's okay. So Father's Love. Sweet story. This was actually just like an imagination library book, but yeah. Thanks to the good dads out there. We're going on a bear hunt. Fireflies. This is a really sweet, fun story. Little boy, I believe, yeah. He catches fireflies with his friends on a summer night. So that's just a fun experience to live in the book. The Carrot Seed. This was kind of an off-the-wall one, but we found it at a library, and it has a little show, like little cartoon that goes with it. But Brisky Bear. I think it's actually geared more towards military families. And yeah, being a hero at home, even when your loved ones have to leave for a while. So yeah, sweet story. My daughter loves this one. Mrs. Maple Seeds. This one is another fun one, kind of cultural exposure, how to make an apple pie and see the world. So she goes to all these different areas to gather all the different ingredients she needs. I love stuff illustrated by Barbara Cooney. And these are just really great stories too. So Oxcart Man kind of follows this guy, his family who are kind of settlers time, and goes through how they make all these things basically to sell at the market. They shear the sheep and make mittens and pick apples and potatoes, and then he goes and sells everything, his ox cart, and they start all over again. So anyways, next one is Rocks a Boxin'. Desert kind of story where they build this little town out of rocks, all the neighborhood kids, and they all go and have this little village together. So fun imagination and just an intriguing story. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. On Mother's Lap. This is a very sweet story, just helping siblings know that there's always enough of mom to go around. Basically, the little boy has I think a little brother, and he's kind of jealous when mom has to hold the baby on her lap, and she said there's always enough room on mom's lap. So yeah, love this one. The Little Red Lighthouse and the Great Gray Bridge. My daughter loves these ones, The Baby Sister and The Quilt Story by Tomie DaPaola. Cynthia Rylant has some great ones. When I Was Young in the Mountains. We have another one that we're borrowing from the library that I really love. I think it's called Let's Go Home. Love this one. Again, just brings you back. Look at those beautiful illustrations, but brings you back into the story of being in the mountains and having to go to like an outhouse in the little country church, getting baptized in like a pond, grandma killing a snake. Just a really sweet story. Of course, anything Little House on the Prairie. They have the picture books. We have the chapter books too, but this is a picture book recommendation. So we have the picture book Treasury, which helps you get a lot of them in one book. But I don't know. Who doesn't love Little House on the Prairie? And then these ones, The Patchwork Quilt and Flossie and the Fox. So just really sweet stories. This one, the girl is very clever and is trying to outwit the fox. This one, really heartwarming. The grandma's working on a quilt. Basically, the whole, like, maternal side, the granddaughter and the mom end up trying to help her finish it. She's just not feeling well and battling sickness. So anyways, very sweet story. Beautiful pictures. Highly recommend that one. The next one is The Rabbit Listened. Love this one for like social emotional health type story. I don't know. Basically all these animals come and they're trying to help Taylor solve his problem by yelling about it, by throwing all the blocks away. And Taylor doesn't want to do any of those things, but a little rabbit comes and the rabbit just listens to him, hears his feelings, and that makes Taylor feel safe enough to express all those things that he did want to do, to scream and shout and laugh and cry and remember. And finally get to the point where he wants to build it all again. So I just appreciate that story. So last stop on Market Street. This is just a lovely story about CJ and his grandma who go and help out the less fortunate. I think it's a really great way to just recognize and have that awareness. Something from Nothing. I love this book. It's a Jewish folktale, but basically the grandfather keeps repurposing this baby blanket that he made him when he was born, and basically it keeps getting dirty or beat up, and so grandpa keeps repurposing it until even the littlest thing that he repurposed with it is worn out, and so hence the name. Grandpa couldn't make something from nothing, but something does end up getting made, so I guess you'll have to read it to find out. And then the last one is just The Little Polar Bear. Just a sweet story of Lars the polar bear and his adventures he goes on. We just enjoy this one. So yeah. The last ones are just easy like readers. My daughter is not quite reading yet, but we still enjoy these books. And good old Dr. Seuss. Yeah, we like pretty much any of his books. They're silly, rhyming. They're just plain goofiness, but that's what makes them fun. We really like Arnold Lobel, so Frog and Toad. My daughter loves Frog and Toad. But He also has some other ones: Owl at Home, Mouse Tales, Mouse Soup. Just simple, again, these are early readers, but simple little quick-witted stories that have childish humor and storytelling, so it just keeps their little minds intrigued. And then last but not least, Little Bear. That is all I have for these book recommendations. I did not cover absolutely every single book I love, but these are like a majority of them. I would say there's like a few I left out that were either like library books that we don't have on hand or just ones that I couldn't find. I hope that gave you some ideas about kids' books that you could either check out from your library or keep an eye out for at a thrift store, or if you're really interested, buying it. And yeah, I hope it supports your journey of reading to your little one and enjoying the beautiful work that is out there in the world. I'd love if you commented 5 kids' picture books that you and your family enjoy. And I hope you have a great rest of your week.